One of the most frequent comments that I see is I'm new to the game and I suck at PvP. and Well, I can definitely empathize with how disheartening it feels. I feel it is almost a little bit unrealistic to start playing a game and then expect to be on the same level as everybody else who's been playing for a year plus. One of the things that I try to get across in my videos is how deep and intricate PvP is in this game, and there's a lot of things that you have to kind of get down aside from even your build. Things about PvP that you have to become familiar with, and like I said, all that takes time. Now we have a little commentary in the back, and the goal of the video today is to go over my mindset and what I'm thinking about when I'm fighting each type of build, because the first step to getting better at PvP is understanding all of the threats of every other weapon and build in the game. Now, obviously, a lot of the players in this OPR are definitely on the newer side, but that doesn't change the fact that the fundamentals of what I'm doing in PvP doesn't change whether I'm fighting really good players or newer players. But we are running my Ice Gauntlet and Rapier build, which is definitely more of a Brawler build. So you can see we're kind of going ham on the points, and we ended up kind of infiltrating their backline there and doing a really good job of not only taking out a couple of healers, but a couple of their damage dealers in the backline, which has seemed to open up in a window for my team to kind of push onto the point. Now, when it comes to brawls like this, a lot of the time what you'll kind of see people doing is just be in the mix of everything, kind of throwing out stuns while everybody kind of gets healed back to full. But healers and the Dex bow players are kind of your first target that you want to take out in these fights, because they're the ones who are really doing the most. Now, obviously, if you have a hammer person or somebody in your face, that's going to be the main thing you want to kind of deal with. But as you can kind of notice, there's nobody up on the second level of Sun here. So all of our targets are kind of focused in on the point, which is kind of why we're able to kind of just brawl out here. But for the most part, when it comes to brawl fights like this, the main thing you want to be doing is not getting caught by any hard stuns. And I know a lot of the things that I say are going to sound pretty obvious, but especially when you're playing in light armor, you can go from 100 to 0 in fights like this when you get stunned. So the main thing that I'm trying to do here is chain my defensive cooldowns with my iframes to just make sure that I can put in damage while staying mobile. And I'm trying to watch out for the more obvious stuns like shockwave and stuff like that. But we're doing a pretty good job right now of staying alive and being a nuisance. But it does look like our team is starting to lose this fight, and we are losing some members here as the enemy team is getting more on the point. So we're going to end up making a move off of Sun here. We do have the enemy back point as I joined into a game in progress here, but it's still the same principles apply to fights. Whether it's a steamroller or not, there's still going to be certain targets that you want to take out in fights. And if the healer or the dex players aren't available, then the next thing is going to be those bruisers. But the bruisers are generally going to be the last target you want to go for, because they are the tankiest. But you see, we've kind of made our way back out onto the point here, and the enemy team has pushed us a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and see if I can, again, look for those healers and those hard damage dealers. And I wanted to see if I could go ahead and take out this Blunderbuss player really quickly. But you can see just how tanky he is, with maybe even one healer just throwing down circles on him. So that's the reason why you don't want to go for targets that are not only being healed, but who are just generally tankier. But you see, we can kind of go ahead and find ourselves some bowmen on the outskirts there. We're able to take them out fairly quickly, because a lot of bow players seem to be running lower con builds. And the thing that, for the most part, bow players tend to do is focus a lot of their practice time into the bow and not their back weapon or their melee prowess. So usually what I'll try to do is just kind of close the distance on bow or musket players and get that fight into a melee range where I know they don't want to be. But we push a little bit over to the enemy base here. Now, the Scream is going to be the thing you want to look out for with Void Gauntlet, but we are running Freedom on this build, so I'm not too worried about it. And the healer, or the bowman that I was fighting earlier, is back. Now, the thing about this build is we have a ton of options to just get out of things. So we get caught by a pretty dirty ice shower there. I have the Entomb to kind of buy me a little bit of time, but you see we do take a little bit of damage, so I pop a Oak Flesh Potion just to be able to put in some damage while I'm getting damaged here. You see I put in a decent amount of burst into that Bull player, but he does a pretty good job of disengaging. And we land the stun on this Void Gauntlet player, but with 2 more Hammer players showing up and a Great Axe, that is the exact reason why there I immediately just disengage from the fight. You don't want to be caught in a grab wall, and a lot of the times while you're fighting somebody else, it's hard to manage your stamina and be waiting for that grab wall. So you see I immediately kind of just backed out and looked for that grab wall. You see I'm able to find a opening with the Ice Storm and the Heavy Root on that Void Gauntlet player who wasn't healed, and then we're left to a couple of melee here. But the gravel and the shockwaves are the 2 things that I'm really looking out for here, because I do not want to get caught by those. And as soon as I see another spawn wave here, we're just going to go ahead and retreat a little bit and just buy a little bit more time. But I want to see if I can kind of be a little bit cocky here and push this to a limit. I land a storm and just put in a ridiculous amount of damage to that first player. I'm just going to go ahead and see if it makes something happen here. We land the parry on the second player as well. Neither of them seem to have been wearing much resilience. We're able to take them out very, very quickly. And then we jump onto the third player there. And it's prioritization of targets is really what you want to do when you're playing solo or this type of role in OPR. You really need to prioritize your life and space, because it is very, very easy to get caught in a stun while you're not paying attention. But the thing about melee builds is, as long as you do not get caught by a hard stun or a set of chain light attacks, you generally speaking should be able to use your light armor to constantly space out all of their attacks. That is the thing about a lot of bruiser builds in this game, is they are pretty much only going to be good on points. Anytime you get into a more open fight, you're going to see every single time the thing that I'm exploiting there is my mobility, because I know that that's the thing that they're lacking. So I'm going to go ahead and essentially just not let them fight me until I'm ready to fight them. But you see we get another little spawn wave on the enemy back point here, and I do have some help. We're using the Ice Storm there to provide a little bit of buffer and buy us a little bit of time, but as soon as it goes down, you see the enemy team kind of charges in there. And Great Sword, the thing I don't want to get caught by is just a single light attack, because if you get caught by one and you get slowed, you can essentially almost not make it out because of how easy it is to chain attacks on you. But we combine our damage with the musket player and we're able to take out that Great Sword player fairly quickly. So I know at least I'm free to kind of be aggressive, as there is no melee threat. All I really need to do is watch out for the big ice spells here, or the mage spells, and we should be good. We land a very, very nice spike there on the healer to get him finished off there. But me and this musket player are kind of just doing work at the back of this point here. But the thing that's constantly in my mind while I'm fighting, really in any situation, is what their build is and what the threat is from that build. So when it comes to spear, the sweep and the volt kick is definitely going to be the thing there. And you saw I was spacing myself out, aware of that and waiting for it. And as soon as that sweep came out, we were able to close that distance and finish off that player with the musket. But that is going to be a very, very, very huge part of PvP. You really, truly need to understand what all the other weapons are capable of, because that is going to kind of inform how to fight against each weapon. This is something that I kind of want to dive a little bit deeper into and kind of do videos about specific weapons and how to kind of fight against them. But for the most part, when I'm playing in OPRs, when we're coming across a variety of builds, that's generally what I'm doing. Now I'm trying to look for an opening on this healer here. You're going to see the second that I see her health go down to half, we immediately go in for that flesh and look for that opening. We find the kill, and then we just get ourselves into a terrible situation here. We end up getting rooted and caught by a couple of attacks there, but we have the riposte up to stun all those players who are on us, and we're able to get away pretty scot-free. And then it looks like we get a pretty big reinforcement wave here. But we're just going to go ahead and go ham now that we don't have a lot of the pressure onto us. You see, I'm going to jump onto this healer with rapiers as back weapon. You really want to have similar amount of mobility to be able to chase them, but the main thing you're looking for is parry. And you see, I instinctively dodge the second that parry comes out. So not only do we not get stunned, but I'm able to follow up on the pressure. We get jumped on by a spear and Void Staff player, or a Void Gauntlet, excuse me. And that Entomb is just so good for resetting fights. You can get pretty much a 6,000 health heal if you time the perk and the potion correctly. But we're able to turn the aggression there with the Ice Storm and get a kill as our teammates kind of just go ahead and bulldoze over the enemy team. But yeah, that's going to be a very, very important first step of PvP. I know a lot of people ask me, you know, what build should I be running? What weapon should I be running? I know the response that I usually give is just to use whatever you find fun. But while you're doing that, the thing that you should kind of be taking a note of is all the other weapons. And not only what their threat is and how the weapons function. So what I mean by that is, obviously Spear is a very stun lock heavy zoning weapon. Great Axe is a very movement hindrance and wide cleaving weapon. But the thing, in addition to the way the weapon functions, you want to kind of look out for is the ranges of the weapon, because every weapon has a specific range it likes to fight in. And really understanding those two things is the, without a doubt, first step to getting better at and understanding PvP. But that is going to be all for this video. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.